I thank the chairman, and I'll try and make my Democrat colleagues happy and ask funding questions that have nothing to do with the videos. How about that? Which is more important to you, Ms. Richards, actually providing women's health care services or lobbying?
Well, I think these two things go hand in hand, and certainly what we have learned over the years is that in order to be able to provide health care services to women, you have to also be able to advocate, particularly for women who are underserved. So I think the two things actually go hand in hand.
Fair enough. You spent $21 million on lobbying in the last couple of years. You spent $0 on mammograms. Why is that?
Well, I think we've discussed mammograms repeatedly and how women's health care works. So when I go to my doctor, I get a breast exam.
You do a referral, I get that. Why don't you do them?
We refer to
Why don't you do them?
Well, we're not a radiological clinic, and I actually don't think that's
Why not? That's a woman's service.
Well, I guess we could take it up, but we never have provided mammograms because we work in concert with folks who do provide radiological services. We do a number of breast exams.
You're aware, by the way, there's people running for president saying that you do provide mammograms, and that's not accurate, is it?
Well, there are a number of people running for president saying a lot of things that
on that side.
I can't certainly.
You said earlier that you don't make any money from federal funds, right? You don't make any profit off the federal funds. Is that correct?
So Planned Parenthood is a national office. We have one source of federal funding right now. It's a $21,000 roughly grant for a birth control clinical trial where we're actually reimbursed for costs alone, and that's the only source of federal resources that come to the national office. So we couldn't make a profit off that.
Where's the $532 million going?
So Medicaid and Title X.
So when you said you don't make any money off the federal funds, you were talking about the parent, not about your operations.
I was trying to explain that the national office, and then we have 59 affiliates, we have 650 to 700 health centers that provide health care services.
Is it your testimony that none of those make any profit off of federal funds?
Well, I would have to, they're all reimbursed for services that they provide, and my experience has been,
right?
Excuse me?
That provides a profit. You get reimbursed for services.
Well, we're a nonprofit, so that's
You're a nonprofit that made $127 million last year.
We didn't make money. We don't make money. We actually reinvest money in healthcare services and education and a lot of other things.
Let's talk about that.
I wanted to answer your first
I want to follow up on that
question.
question. Now let's go on to this one. You just mentioned that you don't make money, but you had revenues in excess of your expenses of $127 million last year. That's right. That's your testimony.
We
your
raised,
numbers. Right. So here's my question. I'm going to get to the question if you let me. Where does the money go? Where does that $127 million go?
So like any organization of our size and scale, a lot of our resources are in what is a board-designated endowment or reserve. We are a 99-year-old organization, and so we've built our endowment, but also I'm investing.
So you retain those earnings. In the private sense, you would retain those, or you put them in the bank?
Well, I hope they're in the bank and not just laying around, but I certainly, in addition to that, so some are in reserves, and the other is I've just invested in expanding health care services and building new clinics in a variety of states across the country.
How is that not
paid
for.
Excuse me?
How is that not an expense?
Well, it is an expense.
No, but your books reflect revenues in excess of expenses of $127 million.
I'm sorry, they're not all out the door, but I've made commitments to opening up new health centers in New Orleans, in Dallas, in other states in the South, we're opening in other states that I won't mention here probably because it would just cause more attention.
Okay, so let's say that money goes towards expanding the service. One of the proposals here, Ms. Richards, is to defund Planned Parenthood, which includes taking $60 million, roughly $60 million away from what you get out of discretionary funding. If we took $60 million away from you, you could still perform every single service that you gave last year, can't you?
I can't say that because those.
Well, you made 120. You said you have revenues in excess of expenses of 127 million. Now you told me what you do with 127 million. You're spending it. You're investing it. You're expanding. I get that. But if you'd had $60 million less last year, you could have provided every single service to every single woman that you did last year.
Well, I constantly raise money to expand services to the patients that look to us, and so.
And God bless you. And I think that's great. But answer my question, please. You could have provided every single service that you did to every single woman last year if you did not get a penny from the discretionary fund from the United States Congress.
Well, I actually disagree, and there's no way I could agree to that. These are services that are spread out all across the country, and I can't possibly account for how each dollar that I raise,
You still
some of
would
which is
have had
committed to other services and expansion of services, could simply replace federal
Not
dollars.
expansions of service. I'm talking about services you actually provided. You would have had $67 million. Got
Well, we're expanding services beyond what we already provide.
that. Not my question. My question is, if we had not funded you last year, you still would have been able to provide the services. And I think the answer is unequivocally yes. You might not have been able to expand your services, but every single woman that walked into every single clinic would have been served if you had not received that money from Congress. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I disagree, but